Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Rafael Bracero, and he is a professor over at USC, and he's also a podcast host. So love having other podcast hosts on the show. And the name of his show is Working Media with Rafael Bracero. First off, Rafael, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam. I'm really excited to be here.
All right. So I definitely want to get into your show, so Working Media, and also your work that you're doing over at USC. But I guess just to get us kicked off here, we met at the CPG conference, right? Pretty recently, but I think you knew the other co-founder, Chirag, for a bit, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm on the board of the Navigator Lighthouse Foundation, which co-sponsored the conference with Mission Matters. And we actually had really incredible attendance for that event. And this was the first investment summit for CPG, for food and bev, that we have done together. So very excited and very successful event. And essentially, we actually were able to do a podcast before that event to help promote it. And we ended up having, I think it was like about 100 people at the event. So it was very well received, and we'll be doing it again next year.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and it was a lot of fun. The interviews, everything else. I mean, I had fun. I know the audience did as well. Let's switch it up a bit here. I mean, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing over at USC. So maybe start there.
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been teaching at USC Annenberg's School of Comms, and basically what I've been focused on there has been teaching courses at the grad school level for that are very applied. So that's really the approach, the prism that I use for these courses. They need to be exceedingly relevant for marketing practitioners. So I have one kind of a capstone course, I would call it, which is an ad tech class that brings in clients that I bring in, and then I match them with student teams, and then they put together marketing campaigns for these clients, and the clients also provide funding for the teams to be able to deploy marketing dollars on ad platforms. So they'll be doing, Meta ads, they'll be doing Google ads, you name it. They've even done connected TV ads in a couple of cases. So, and we've gotten some great experiences out of that, and really, in some cases, really great performance for the clients. We actually had one project where they generated 24x return on ad spend, which even for a professional agency, that is super unusual and high. So that's the type of course that I like to teach. Also, I'm teaching a new course called Product Management in the spring. So really excited to pick that up. And actually, that's an existing course. So I'm taking over, kind of picking it up from Professor Schwab, who's an incredible academic and AI practitioner. So that one's going to have kind of a similar approach, but it'll be a little bit more focused on B2B and a lot of the growth marketing specifics that are actually not really often taught at professional schools like Annenberg or even Marshall. We're excited to launch that in the spring.
What do you enjoy about being in academia, specifically, and getting to kind of have your hands in all these different areas, specifically around like marketing and ads and everything you're talking about? It seems really cool, especially with the brand like USC and Annenberg. I mean, come on, it's a top-notch, top tier. Like, what do you enjoy about that atmosphere? I'm so curious.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's funny that you say that, because we're actually doing a LinkedIn alumni project. It's kind of like a sprint kickoff project at the beginning. So we're trying to not just work with outside clients, but also to give back to the school.
Wow. That's
so
great. Like full circle, right? That's pretty cool.
Exactly. Full circle, right? Full circle, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think what I enjoy, because I'm a marketing practitioner for the last almost 20 years. I started my career at Mattel and then Procter & Gamble. So did CPG for many years, and then switched over to entertainment, worked for Disney and Warner Brothers. I did licensing in the consumable space. So food, health, beauty, pet categories. And then more in the last 7 years or so, I've kind of pivoted again towards tech marketing, which is very much its own thing. So I've tried to take all that experience and really distill it into these classes that are hopefully very useful for students. And I'm happy to say that we've had, in the last class, we had 60 students in the last cohort in the spring. We had 6 offers from four students in my class, literally from the guest speakers that came in, who saw the work that they were doing, and then basically just said, hey, yeah, these are already pre-vetted and really highly functioning marketers. So let's give them a shot. So we got a number of full-time offers and a number of internships. So that's really gratifying to see that when that actually happens.
I want to switch it up a bit here. Let's get into your podcast. So, Working Media with Rafael Bracero. When did you start it, and what was the original seed of the idea for this?
Yeah, so it's been going on for 3 years now.
Congratulations! That's what I'm talking about, though. That's good. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, we had a little bit of a hiatus there, but then now we're back, and essentially now it's not just an audio podcast, but it's also a video podcast. So we film it out of Studio A at USC Annenberg's Wallace Annenberg building, which is a beautiful facility that NPR and some other major companies use as a matter of fact, the president of the USC uses that very studio to do his own podcast.
That's where Working Media is at. So once the word got out about Rafael Bracero being there, people follow. I know how it works. Continue. I get it.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because it's the title is a bit of a pun, right? Because Working Media is kind of when you think about Working Media, you're talking about the money that is spent on the actual ads, right? As opposed to the production level of those ads. So let's say, to produce the commercial that's not working, the actual media that you spent on, whatever, ABC or whatever, that would be Working Media. So it's a little bit broader than that because it also encompasses advertising, but also entertainment in general. And so I've been lucky. I've been able to get some practitioners at different levels to come in and really get ground level in terms of discussions. So we don't shy away from talking about okay, how do you build this funnel, and how do you do, product qualified lead generation, right? How does that process differ from marketing qualified leads or sales qualified leads, and how do you create a robust pipeline and data enhancements to help you get the results that you want out of your market. So it's, we're far from the days where you could just throw money in the well, so to speak, of these ad platforms and just kind of hope for the best. It's a lot more considered. And so the people that we bring into the podcast, we literally just ask them as granular questions as they're willing to provide.
Right. So, what's been one of your favorite parts of being a host and of doing the show? What's been one of the favorite either moments or ideas that have come out of it so far?
Well, Adam, you meet a lot of people doing your podcast, so I imagine it's probably the same. Just that you get to learn about people in ways that you probably wouldn't have had a chance to do otherwise. Because I've had former colleagues who I brought into the show and just learned half of the interview was oh, I had no idea that was something you did. I one particular episode that was a hero's journey focus episode, and it was a former P&G'er that took a year hiatus to go travel the world, and along the way ended up doing a laughing yoga seminar somewhere in Asia, and then they came back and started their own marketing agency, and then used the laughing yoga framework to help to do kind of icebreakers around product innovation workshops. So,
wow.
I had no idea about this. I was wow, that's.
I didn't even know laughing yoga was a thing till you just told me.
I didn't know either until she told me about it as well. So, and she did a TEDx talk for it. So I think you got 500,000 views. So yes, really the oddest things will just kind of spike, right? And you never know. So it's just very interesting to learn about different areas. And then, you do develop, I feel like you do develop kind of almost a friendship after you've done a podcast or something, because it's a very intimate thing. So I'm wondering if that's your experience as well, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you get to, it really is, when I tell people about that particular angle, is that it's you're literally, when you do a collaboration, whether you speak to somebody again or never again, it's you now put out something into the world. You're part of each other's legacy. People will listen to that for many years, possibly even when we're no longer here. And that collaboration lives on, that energy, that episode, that lives on. So to me, it's super interesting to see how that, and then to me, the other part is You just get, so the longer you do this, the more, I'm not shocked now or surprised now, but when you cross paths and they're like, oh, that you interviewed my boss 5 years ago and we listened to that, I know who you are, or this or that. Like, it's just very interesting how many people's lives you touch. When you see downloads, you're like, okay, 100,000 downloads, but you don't really think about like, okay, there's 100,000 people that are behind that also know people that maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it's so interesting how interconnected everything is. So that's been my experience on any particular episode or a thing. And then over time, the longer you do it, you're just like, whoa, more people, more guests. And you're like, wow, you just realize the world's pretty small.
Yeah, I mean, it's really quite a strong kind of networking tool in a way, right? I mean, even though that you're kind of creating this as content, it ends up kind of helping you also personally, I think, to have access to people that you may not have access to otherwise. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like to think of it as you're just putting out good energy. Like, really, at the most basic thing, you're creating something, putting out good energy, and the people that are supposed to come back to you, they do. Like, that's just the way I see it. Maybe
you're very good at that. I feel you have great energy. I've seen you host the podcast and also host the CPG event we did, and I think that was like the hallmark quality, I would say. Like, it's really positive. Really, everybody likes Adam because you're just like, it's a pleasure to be interviewed by you, I think.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And now that you said that and you were very nice, now I'm going to give you the worst question that I always ask every podcaster. It's a completely unfair question. You're like, man, I just gave this guy a compliment. He comes back with something mean. It's a little mean, but favorite episode. And I'll tell you why I ask all podcasters this. I want you to just get a little bit granular, like tell a specific from an episode, because I want my audience to actually stop for a moment, think about it, and I want them to hear this point so that they'll go check out your show and give it a real listen and a real shot. So favorite episode, I'm going to throw it out there, like telling somebody to choose between their kids. That's what I do. I know it's a mean thing to do. I hope nobody ever does it to me. I hope nobody ever does it to me, but they don't. So go.
All your children are your favorites.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll probably just go with the last one, which is the first one that we filmed using Studio A. So that was actually with Francisco Chen, who is the co-founder of Narrative Ads, which is an agency that focuses on TikTok ads. Specifically, I would call more. They do like what they call Spark ads, essentially, which are partnerships ads on the platform, and they're very kind of viral and hooky, but very effective. So they work with companies that like, I don't think I'm supposed to say too many of them, but they work with major companies that literally have Super Bowl ads, right? And then on their end, they're doing stuff that's so like the extreme opposite of a Super Bowl ad. So to see that they are able to do that with these super fast growth companies is really interesting. So that was a really cool interview because you learn a lot about how they go to market, and they actually develop and deploy these ads sometimes in a matter of a day, which, wow. I mean, if you think about how back in the olden days, right, when I was at Procter & Gamble, usually you're talking about a year to develop a whole campaign, right? I mean, of course, we're talking about like TV and things like that. But even, later on, I was developing campaigns that, that took several months to deploy, but the pace of change and then leveraging technology and AI to put together these ads and also to quickly test and learn to see which ones are working best is, something really exciting. And as a matter of fact, I mean, we're actually going to be working with them in the fall. So I guess this is like a little bit of a pitch for the class, because we're going to have them, one of the first projects that we're going to do in the class is we're going to basically give the students a project, form Narrative Ads to essentially create their own ad, which will compete with the ads that the very own creative team of Narrative is doing. And then they'll just launch them all. And then whichever one does best, that's the one that they're going to fund. So, I mean, you can't get more real than that.
Man, what a cool class, first off. Like, I want to do that now. And I'm not even in school, but I want to do that now. That sounds fun.
Yeah. So my praise and plug for that is DSM 529 at the Annenberg School in the fall. So we have 3 sections, so we still have some slots. So definitely encourage you all to consider it.
That's awesome. Well, Rafael, this has been great having you on the show, getting to know more about your background, why you do what you do, and, of course, your podcast, Working Media. That being said, if somebody wants to follow up, they want to obviously listen to the show, follow your work, connect, how do they do that?
The best way is just on LinkedIn, just Rafael Bracero. Can't miss me there. And then also you can always just email me. I like email. So just rbracero at usc.edu. And yeah, I'm happy to discuss classes. I also have a consulting firm where I work with startups and direct to consumer companies. So always happy to talk about any business as well.
Fantastic. Everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can click on them and head on over and connect with Rafael and his team. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Rafael, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Adam.